Welcome to the Grow the Family podcast. This is a new venture of ours. Hunter is going to participate as much as possible, but he does have a full-time job. So he's co-host, and hopefully he'll get to be here for most of our episodes. So anyway, we are going to talk more about this podcast and what it is and why we've decided to start doing it. But before we do that, we're going to introduce ourselves and then we'll go from there. So anyway, my name is Courtney Lewis, previously Courtney Hall. I'm born and raised in Alabama, so Southern girl through and through. What have I done in my life?
A lot of stuff.
So I am the middle child of five children. I have three sisters and one brother. Most of us are back in Alabama, and my brother and his family are in Utah. And so, anyway, we're kind of, yeah, mostly here in the South still, which we love. We get a lot of diversity here, and we really enjoy that and just the Bible Belt and how faithful everybody is. Um, anyway, yeah, I know how to play the piano. I love to sing. I am a swim coach during the summer. And this is going to be the second podcast that I've started. I currently am also the host of the 13 Beginnings podcast, which basically highlights my mother's side of the family. She's the middle child of 13. And so, yep, 13 Beginnings. There you go. And essentially, it's like a family history journaling type podcast where I interview all of the siblings, but then even the grandkids, and maybe even one day greats and great greats. We'll see how long we live, right? Anyway, that is a little bit about me. So I'll turn the time over to my husband.
So my name's Hunter Lewis. I grew up in Oregon and was there from the time I was born to when I graduated high school, and then I went to college for a little bit in Idaho and Utah for a little bit, and then I went to Peru for a couple of years, learned Spanish and did kind of humanitarian effort and gospel related church type mission, and then got back and went back to school and met Courtney um, at school, and then we got married, and then yeah, then we moved to Texas and Washington, and we were all over the place, and then we settled in Alabama. Um, and the reason why it was funny when we first met was that she said her mom's one of 13 kids, and I am actually one of 14 kids in my family, so we kind of connected on that end of things, and that was kind of interesting and kind of fun connection there. So, but yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it was a very attractive theme to me. Some people might have been intimidated by that, and I was not until I married into it. And it was very intimidating marrying into a family that big. But they're so wonderful. So it's all good. Makes it worth it. Um, okay, and so anyway, like Hunter said, we met at school, dated, got engaged, and we were married in June of 2017. So we've been married for almost 9 years now. Yeah, 9 years this June. So, yes. So, we do want to talk a little bit about our journey, which starts at marriage a little bit, right? So, anyway, so we got married and we both hated birth control, all methods, his methods, my methods. We just didn't like it. And so, we were maybe on it like a month and a half, maybe. I mean, I was on it a little longer because they have the women get on it before they get married. And so anyway, we just got off of it and we just said, you know what, if we're gonna get pregnant and if that's God's will, then so be it. We're good with it. And anyway, we weren't getting pregnant and we were just kind of like, huh, interesting. And like Hunter said, we were moving all over the place, which makes it a little bit hard when seeking medical care. But normally, typically, when it comes to trying to get pregnant, they want you to try for a certain period of time anyway. So we tried for a year, and then we were actually living in Alabama at my home, and we started tried for about a year, and then we were living in Alabama, working, doing internships, and we decided, okay, it was probably again about a year then. And so we were like, maybe let's start looking into finding medical, fertility help. And so we did. We reached out to doctors in Idaho because that's where we were going to school, right? And then we went to Texas for an accounting internship for Hunter, and we were both working at this accounting firm together. And they have a lot more medical care in Texas. So it was very, very easy to to just get appointments and to find specialists to work with. And so thankfully, yeah, I went and saw an OB pretty quick right after we got there. And I was certain I was the issue, right? I mean, only a family of five. My mom had multiple miscarriages, like multiple, a lot. And anyway, my husband was the baby of 14 kids. So of course I was like, there's no way, that he's got the issue. It's for sure me. Like I'm the one that's not fertile. And met with the OB, had a great appointment. He said, kind things, said I was very healthy, and that everything reproductively looked good. And then he said, Courtney, you should have your husband go and do a semen analysis. And I just was like, that's so silly. Like, why would I do that? He's fine. But I took the what's it called? Order form, right? The order form for Hunter to go get it. I took it with me and I put it in my purse, and it sat in my purse for 3 weeks. Like I really did just kind of forget about it. But then a few weeks later, I was like, okay, I'm like, Hunter should probably just go and do the test. Like, what do we have to lose? Let's
Right.
just do it. And so he did. He went and did it. And we got the results like that same day,
That's pretty
right?
quick.
Yeah. Anyway, so I took the call because he was in appointments with clients, and they called and they said, okay, he has no sperm, and they call it azospermia. And I was just like, no sperm. I don't think I've ever heard of that. And I was just like, okay, thank you. A little shocked and surprised. And so we called our parents, right? And both of our parents are like, don't you mean low sperm? And we're like, no, we mean no sperm. And they're like, no, call them back. No, that's wrong. And we're just like, okay. So we did. We called the doctor back just to check. And they were like, no, it's no sperm, azospermia. And we're like, okay, like this is interesting.
Mhm.
And so anyway, then we started the next step was to get genetic testing. So what they find out, babe?
Well, I don't remember the exact results of what they said,
Not everything, right?
but basically what they had determined was the reason why I had no sperm was, well, when I was born, like I said, I'm one of 14 kids. I'm actually the last one. So my mother was a lot older at the time. And as you may know, the older you get, fertility, for one, fertility rates go down the older you get. The second thing is pregnancies tend to have a lot more abnormalities. And so or just get dangerous and like dangerous for the pregnancy, but also for the baby. There's more complications, et cetera, right? So I didn't have any like complications or like, physical noticeable differences in as far as me growing up. So there was nothing, to see growing up that I was any different from anyone else. But because I was born when my mom was in her early 40s, that actually caused a something called um, Klinefelter syndrome. And so with that, it's basically means that you are going to have little to or no sperm, are one of the most common symptoms is infertility, male infertility, and among other symptoms like low muscle mass and a little bit taller and harder to lose weight and things like that. I'm like, oh, that's me. Like that's things I've struggled with my entire life. I've never been able to build muscle and I've always had a little bit of a gut and I've like what? I'm just different, I guess. And I didn't ever know why, but it was kind of cool learning why these things were happening to me, growing up. And it's like kind of a blessing in a way to be like, I understand now why I am the way I am or why I was the way I was, et cetera. And that there is a way to treat some of those symptoms. Obviously, you can't cure infertility. Obviously, there's methods that we can do to kind of help us get pregnant in different ways that are out there. But I, can get on testosterone and help, balance out my hormones and just balance out my life a little better in the physical aspect of things. And so, it was an option I could at least do to kind of help in that aspect. But yeah, that's basically what we learned
Mhm.
and decided that we had to make a decision. Like we still wanted to have kids. And so I don't know if you want to go into that, what we
Yeah,
decided.
yeah, no, um, I did want to say it real quick.
Yeah.
So Klinefelter syndrome, the reason we found out with genetic testing is because it is like a genetic disorder. And you have, instead of 46 chromosomes, Hunter
Right.
has 47 chromosomes. So an extra Y, right?
No, it's an extra X. And so
Oh,
they sometimes call it XXY syndrome.
right.
Yeah.
XXY syndrome. It's been a while since we've done all this medical stuff. Anyway, yes. And so we started talking about the next step, right? We knew the reason, which we felt so grateful for because we know that so
So
many
many
people
people never know why.
never know,
It's
never
very
find
frustrating.
out. Yeah, we cannot imagine going through that because this, like Hunter said, was a blessing because now we knew new steps to also to have kids, but Hunter also now had again, explanations for things that he kind of struggled with his whole life, but never knew what they were because Klinefelter syndrome often, like almost always, is never discovered until you try to have children. Because
Yeah.
again, infertility is the biggest symptom.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, we started to discuss next steps, and they said, okay, so IVF is the next step. You will need donor sperm, and we can do the microtesty surgery, which is a surgery for the male, for the husband, where they basically um, cut open the testicular sac and they go in to see if they can find any pockets of sperm anywhere. And so anyway, they're like, there's that, but either way, you're gonna have to have backup donor sperm if you decide to go that route. And the surgery is very expensive, obviously very painful. And so they said either that option or you can adopt, and that's basically it. We could do IUI using donor sperm as well. But obviously IVF is like what, 50 to 75% more successful than IUIs. So it was more recommended in our case. And so anyway, we donor sperm was obviously a very foreign concept to us. And we just did not even, we were just kind of like, no, like,
Yeah.
like what?
Initial reaction was, we're never doing that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, no, like we were on our way home from work one day and Hunter's like, don't ever ask me, Courtney. He's like, don't ever ask me. And I would like, I would never. I'm like, no, I would never ask you to do that. We were so shocked and surprised. And so anyway, you gotta keep moving forward, right? Living life. And all of this is a shock. It's taking time to process, etc. And so we'll just fast forward a little bit. We are put into contact with a doctor that lives in Utah. He is the brother of Hunter's father-in-law's mission companion. He's the brother-in-law. So the mission companion's wife it's her brother. So anyway, Corwin learns, I mean, obviously my father-in-law, Corwin, they know our situation, and we kind of do a family email, right? Just essentially announcing it to everyone, which I know is not for everyone. Infertility can be such a hush hush
Probably.
topic, right? But for us, we believe our family has the faith to move mountains. So, so I feel like it's kind of more common to share those hard things that you're going through, right? And to just have people on your side to support and pray for you. And so anyway, so he got this email back from his mission companion, and they just recommended this doctor, and said you should have your son and daughter-in-law reach out to them. And so we did, and we got his cell phone, which doesn't happen, right? With medical people. No, like you don't get their cell phone.
You get their secretary's landline.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah, you
just a 1-800 number.
Yeah, you have to go through this whole process, and then you have to pay consultation fees and
Right.
to even just talk to them, right? And so thankfully that was not the case for us. We got the cell phone. A little side note, we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and so this doctor, this infertility doctor, was also a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And anyway, so it was kind of nice to talk to somebody that maybe understood a little bit how hard this was for us to process mentally. Um, and so anyway, we talked to him, and we talked to him a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we could text him, we could call him. It was fabulous. He was fabulous and would just answer our questions, and then answer them again, because again, it was so hard to process, and there was so much information, it was hard to retain it. And so it was nice that he was just so patient and willing to just talk with us over and over again. And so anyway, he actually was very encouraging of the donor sperm route. And Hunter knew that he was, but I also kind of just kept it from Hunter that me and this doctor were having these conversations about donor sperm, because I was just trying to learn more, and I was trying to have an open mind. And Hunter, I just couldn't imagine he was feeling and how he was feeling. And again, I had already told him I would never ask him to do that. And so I just kind of continued to learn on my own, kind of quietly. And then we moved back to Idaho from Texas to finish school. And again, these conversations continue, just the learning, the studying, and then also learning. Facebook is such a great tool for so many things. It can be awful too. But in this case, had become a blessing in the sense that I was able to join infertility support pages, and I was able to talk to people of my faith or of other faiths that had to grow their family this way, that chose to use donor sperm because it was either that or adoption, and they just made a choice, right? And a lot of people want to experience pregnancy, which that is something that Hunter and I did want to experience. And so anyway, I remember we were playing at Porter Park in Rexburg, Idaho. We're just tossing the football to one another. And I just said, Hunter, I'm like, I've been talking to Dr. Richards, and like, I think we should consider the donor sperm option. And his response was hilarious to me because it'd been a while, right? And he was just like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And I was just like, what?
You've been dreading this conversation for months. And I was like, okay.
Like he just was so calm and collected. And I just in my heart and in my head, I was just like, the Lord has just been working on both of us, quietly and silently, as we've just been studying and doing our own research and still having conversations with one another, right? We weren't not talking. It was just the elephant in the room, that thing that we were like, oh, I don't know if we can talk about this. And so, anyway, we decided, right?
Yeah.
That was the time. So
Yeah.
we decided we were going to do this and we announced it to our family. And this was hard for Hunter's family, especially. I feel like my family were like, get a baby, you know? But for Hunter's family, it was a little bit hard until, do you remember?
Well, yeah, I think it was one of those things where your parents don't really know where you stand or how you really feel about something. And so when and I'm kind of a quiet person, right? I don't tend to express my emotions or how I feel I'm not very articulate with my words, right? So if people ask me questions, I'm just like I kind of shrug my shoulders, like sure, like like she did when we were playing in the park, and I was just like, sure, let's just try it. I mean, we haven't had any luck up to this point, no other really options. I want to have kids, and so I'm willing to make that sacrifice, right? So I'd made it that decision in my mind, right? But hadn't really expressed that to my family yet. And so when we had announced that we were going to go the donor sperm route, my family was a little concerned. They're like, "Do you really want to do this? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, is there no other option you want to try, just like adoption, or
Yeah.
because it was shocking for them. None of my siblings have ever experienced infertility. They all have tons of kids, and
That's,
so it was kind of a foreign, if it's shocking for us, shocking for them. And so, and they hadn't had the same time that we had to process everything. But them being very, respectful of us and our decisions, and like they're not like, pushy people or anything like that. They're not going to like push their opinions upon you, but they do express them, obviously, and just communicate well with you, right? So they had expressed those concerns and just said, "Are you sure you really want to do this?" And when I voiced my opinion, I was just like, "Yes, I want to do this. This is my decision. I've decided this is what's best for my family." They're like, "Okay," and they respected it and they got on board right as soon as I
right on.
expressed that feeling to them, and they're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So it was awesome, and we had that connection, that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a sweet, yeah, the thing. Hunter just took the time to like call his mom and dad indirectly and be like, I want this. Like,
Yeah.
I want it, you know, because I have a little bit of a strong personality and they're probably like, Courtney wants this and Hunter's just along for the ride. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was, I think it just gave them some peace of mind when Hunter was like, no, I want this. Because that was one conversation we said, like, are we opposed to adoption? For sure not. We're definitely not opposed to it. But at the time, we wanted to experience being pregnant and giving birth. It was something we both wanted. And so that's why we decided to go this route first. So, anyway, fast forward again. We'll try and wrap up this journey part, but essentially we moved back to Texas the next year, so 2020, and we started the process right away. We found a doctor recommended by one of Hunter's sisters, and he was awesome at a great clinic, had really great success rates helping people. And we, yeah, started talking with him and we went through the process. We did decide to do the microtesty surgery. Um, we just felt like we wanted to know.
Yeah. Like regardless whether it was successful or not, we just wanted the peace of mind, be like, hey, at least we tried.
Hmm.
I would regret it my whole life. I was like, never tried, and then find out after this life, you could have had your own kids, and be like, dang it. So, it was expensive, but it was just like it was worth it to
Hmm.
just know.
Yeah, for us, we just wanted to do it. So we did that. My mom flew to Texas and to just help us out. And so she and I took Hunter, did his surgery, drove back home, got him in bed for like a week.
Yeah, it was a rough surgery.
And the very next day, I was supposed to do my egg retrieval. So it was like a lot, right? Like he's on medication, I'm on medication, he just got surgery very next day. I wake up, go to surgery early. Um, and my mom went with me and they retrieved our eggs. And I can't remember the numbers exactly, and I probably have it written down somewhere, but I'm pretty positive we had 16. I know that we had 10 that matured with the embryos. We had the backup donor sperm, right? Which was an experience in itself, but which we'll touch on. But we had 10 mature embryos. And then out of those, I think we thought that we had five, I think made it to the blastocyst stage. And then they biopsied them. We opted in to biopsy them. And after they biopsied them, we only had two. So we had two embryos, and that was it. So those numbers can dwindle quickly. Um, I'm always amazed when I hear of people that have like 10, 15, 20 something eggs or embryos. I'm just like,
That
wow.
make it all the way.
Like that is amazing. But for us, we just had two. And we are grateful for our two. And so anyway, we proceeded to go with the next process, which would have been a FET, a frozen embryo transfer. So basically gave my body a rest from all the medication and then started up again in a couple months, which got paused a few weeks to a month after starting because of COVID. It shut everything down, even our clinic. And so we had to wait maybe like another month
Mhm.
or
A
two.
month or two, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was frustrating because we had to repurchase medication, what we had already used. We had to repurchase all of that, and medication can be so expensive. And so, anyway, we repurchased our medication and we started the process again. And we were just going to transfer one of our embryos initially. But then we had, just different personal things come up in our life, and we were moving back to Alabama out of nowhere. So, so kind of a crazy ride. Because we were moving back to Alabama, we just didn't feel like we had any reason to come back to Texas, to do fertility treatments. So even though our fertility clinic, they weren't so die hard on no multiples, but they were pretty discouraging of multiples. But we were we just had a couple conversations with our doctor and he got on board and we transferred both embryos. And then a couple weeks later, we were getting the call. I just remember. Anyway, we knew that we were getting the call. I think it was a Thursday or no, it was a Friday, I think. Anyway, I gave Hunter my phone
Mm.
because I knew that I wouldn't be able to handle.
Well, we were at work
We were at work.
and we worked together at the same accounting firm. And so
We switched phones.
yeah, she gave me her phone, I gave her mine, and she was like, I can't look at it during work or I might not be able to finish the work day if it's bad news, or even if it's good news, I'll be too excited to work or, whatever. And so I took the news and wrote it down in a sticky note and then gave it to her after we finished work that
Yeah.
day.
We were on our way home and I was like, tell me. And then I was like, no, don't tell me. And then I was like, tell me. And I was like, no, don't tell me. I was just like
It's a
all
roller
over the
coaster.
place. And Hunter was like, you are crazy. Why did I marry you? No, I'm
It's
just
not true.
so we made it all the way back to our apartment and then he gave me, was it really a sticky note? I swear it was like a napkin.
It might have been happening. Super informal. Sorry.
Where was the bouquet? No, I'm just kidding. So he gave me the napkin. We're gonna go with the napkin. And I unfolded it, and anyway, it just said, "We're pregnant." And so we didn't know at the time that it was twins, but we were pregnant. And then at our 6 week ultrasound, we found out that it was twins. And so we do thankfully, we do have twins. We gave birth to them in February of 2021, and boy and girl twins. Um, they're almost 5, so they're wonderful. And we also know that we are quite fortunate to have a successful round of IVF our first time.
Yeah.
We know that so many people, it takes a time or two before they get pregnant that first time. And so, anyway, we did several different treatments between the twins and our youngest that we have now. So we did an IUI after the twins, no luck there. And then we did a round of IVF, transferring 2 embryos. Now these next rounds were unbiopsied embryos, which we can kind of talk more about in another episode. But unbiopsied embryos, we transferred 2. They didn't take. And then we waited a few months, and by this time we had switched doctors, actually switched to that doctor that we mentioned that we had a cell phone number and could text and call. His name's Dr. Richards, and he's in Utah. And so we would fly to Utah for our treatments. And so we flew to Utah, did the whole IVF process again, egg retrieval IVF, fresh transfer. Did not work with the 2, went back a few months later and transferred 1 because we only had 3 left. So we transferred the 1, and now we have our really chunky 1-year-old that looks like he's 3. And his name's Theodore. Um, and then just this last fall of 2025, we flew back to Utah to transfer our last 2 embryos, a frozen transfer, and it did not work. And so we've had failures. We know what failure feels like. And yeah, we know what it feels like to get that negative test and how painful it is and how much of a loss it feels like. But we do also know what it feels like to have beautiful children, to be able to experience pregnancy and birth, giving birth, and it's been a beautiful experience. So, anyway, let's talk about why we're doing this, right? Why we're starting this Grow the Family podcast. So, it's kind of always been a goal to do something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about infertility and helping couples for years.
I mean, we have talked to other couples
hmm
on a number of occasions to try to
hmm
help them go through whatever situation they were going through. And
hmm
we're like, we could probably do this on a larger scale and help a lot more people. But
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, with our case being male factor infertility, um, we have helped 2 couples um, go the donor sperm route, and something that was really, really difficult for them at first mentally. But they both have a boy each now. So just this last year, they both gave birth, and that's been so fulfilling for us. But we'll talk about some statistics, and I guess this is kind of our one of our whys, one of our reasons for wanting to do it is because of how common infertility is and
yeah.
how, what's the word, like hush hush it is, kind of like we said.
Yeah. It's very private. So people don't usually share to the public or even to their families, their situations. And so a lot of infertility doesn't even get reported or is even made aware of,
Yeah.
so
Or it's just such a lonely journey.
yeah.
I mean, you're not sharing it with anybody at all, and that's just hard. It's hard for it to just be between you and your spouse.
Yeah.
So,
And it's very taxing on your relationship. And
mhm.
anyways, so just some statistics. It's 1 in 6 couples worldwide experience infertility. 17.8% of adults globally have experienced infertility at some point in their life. Fertility rates have dropped, and that is due to delayed marriage and parenthood, or unhealthy lifestyles, or underlying medical conditions. So the longer you wait, the harder it'll get. Around age 35 is when infertility rates drop dramatically. Um, so yeah, so like I said, I didn't think I would be infertile because I have 13 siblings and my parents each had like 10 siblings. So, and I've like got like hundreds of cousins. I was just like, there's no way, but you just never know. You don't know what you don't know, right? And everyone's situation is a little different, but it's a lot, I think it's a lot more common than people think.
So basically, we want to start this podcast because we want to just open up a community where um, people feel like they have support, where they can go and learn about fertility, where they can go and hear other people's experiences with infertility. So we have we're more into like discussion based podcasting. We love that type. We love interviewing people, getting to know people. And so that's going to be kind of what this is. We might occasionally have some solo podcasts like this one, but we have a lineup of women or couples ready to come on and be interviewed. And so we're really excited about all of the excitement that we're getting already from this. And then the reason we're calling it the Grow the Family podcast is because everybody's situation is different, right? So for us, thankfully, we've been able to have 3 children. That's huge, right? We still want to grow the family. We would love to have more. But even if we're unable to have more, we're going to focus on growing our relationships, trying to be good parents, trying to help our kids be really close and united, um, trying to help them understand, their biology physically and spiritually. Um, for others who may not ever been able to have children, you can still grow the family, right? You have one another. And Hunter and I had to consider that. We all have to consider that when we are infertile, right? What if it never happens? What if it never works out? And so considering what that might look like and how you're going to get through it is huge. And so that was something that we used to talk about. And Hunter actually met a couple that were infertile while he was at the tax accounting firm, and they were never able to have children. And Hunter was like, it was kind of neat meeting them though, because they were happy and
It was,
just focusing on one another.
I think they had a great relationship. They're really happy.
Hmm.
So
And that is the point. We meet a lot of infertile couples that do not like one another anymore, that don't see eye to eye, and that's been so sad to witness. And so, anyway, we are just here for it all, no matter your circumstance. And again, we might not understand everything completely or fully, but we are starting this podcast for that reason because somebody that we interview, you're going to be able to relate with and connect with if you need to. And they're going to be able to help, hopefully, in that healing process or help answer some questions that you may have. So, anyway, that's the goal. Thank you guys for listening, and we're excited. So we'll be updating this as things go, and we'll be posting podcasts as we go. So thanks, guys.
thanks.